And just, do you think New South Wales should open their borders to regional Victoria?
Well, we've been very pleased both with New South Wales and South Australia to have a bubble that has grown, and so not only the physical, the actual geographic distance that you can move between both states, but also the purposes for which you can lawfully move. That's been added to over time as well. I'm certainly pleased that at the opening up, so getting to step 3 for regional Victoria has not seen New South Wales or South Australia change any of those rules, so they don't see it as a higher risk environment than it was a week ago. The time will come when those border restrictions can be eased and indeed lifted, and that'll be a great thing for border towns and a great thing for the whole of our state. The key point there, I think, is getting our statewide numbers down to a low enough level where people have got confidence that we don't pose a risk.
Do you think New South Wales should have the confidence? There's obviously, this so-called ring of steel around Melbourne where we can't get into regional Victoria. Case numbers in regional Victoria are even lower than what it is in New South Wales. I guess, do you think there is a case to, particularly on the New South Wales border, to completely ease restrictions and allow the free movement?
Well, I think it's important to, let me answer it in this way. I think it's important to acknowledge that the ring of steel, so-called, between Melbourne and regional Victoria is to allow still those who have a lawful reason to be in regional Victoria. It's not like there's no movement from Melbourne to regional Victoria. Nurses, compassionate grounds, animal welfare, work of other types. That physical movement, those patterns of movement are still happening, and there is still underlying community transmission in metropolitan Melbourne. There are still 657 active cases. So, again, I've not criticised New South Wales or South Australia for the decisions they've made, or indeed Tassie for that matter. They've not been made lightly. They've been made with the best of intentions, and that's to keep their communities safe. And if it was the other way around, I dare say we would have made exactly the same judgment. But the time will come when they don't serve that useful purpose. The risk is much lower, and then we can get back, as part of a COVID normal, to being able to travel more freely within Victoria and indeed to go beyond our state. That isn't yet, but the surest thing we can do to deliver that outcome is to drive these cases low so that we can keep them low, and then they can change those settings.
Raised it with either the South Australian or the New South Wales Premier in recent days?
The notion of opening up?
Yeah.
No, I've not had that conversation because I think I know what the answer would be. What I did have a conversation though, and I did communicate with both of them because I was very keen to make sure that as we knew that was coming, and then of course we hit the trigger point and we made the announcements about the 2 steps in regional Victoria. I was very keen that not see them restrict some of the, I won't say generous, more generous arrangements that they had put in place. That had been a product of a lot of work. Jack Symes, I've been involved in that a bit too, but Jack's really driven that.